World Tour.
Para poder empezar la carrera.
550 centímetros cúbicos. Segunda fecha de este Campeonato Nacional de Jet Ski. Primera vuelta. Con la máquina número 1 se encuentra Jorge Herrera. Conduce la máquina número 4 José Miguel Yáñez. La máquina 10 José Miguel Paxiar. 11 Francisco González. La máquina 19 Alfonso Fuenzalida. Conduciendo la máquina 20 Ariel Blasque. 47 Patricio Blasque. Estamos en la primera vuelta. Allí se aproxima segundo lugar para la máquina número 11. En cuarto lugar la número 4.
¿Quién es el que se tocó Mario?
La máquina número 20. Ariel Blasque.
¿Cómo se llama tu marido?
Rodrigo.
¡Rodrigo!
Alfonso Fuenzalida en punta.
¿Es tu hijo?
Allí viene pasando frente al punto de partida Alfonso Fuenzalida con la máquina número 19. No apreciamos el número. Segundo lugar para la máquina número 11 con Francisco González. Muy de cerca seguido por José Miguel Paxián. Esta es la segunda fecha del Campeonato Nacional de Jet Ski. Toda la destreza, todo el dinamismo para enfrentar la tercera vuelta. Liderando el número 19 Alfonso Fuenzalida. Con el alto auspicio de lubricantes Gal y Cristal, la única. Primer lugar para el competidor Alfonso Fuenzalida, seguido de cerca por la máquina número 11 conducida por Francisco González. José Miguel Paxián en tercer lugar con la máquina 10. Cuarto lugar para la máquina número 4 conducida por José Miguel Yáñez. Está ya en la tercera vuelta. Quinto lugar para la máquina 47 de Patricio Blasque. Jorge Herrera se retiró. Atención. Estamos ya en la cuarta vuelta con el liderato de la máquina número 19 bajo la conducción de Alfonso Fuenzalida. Alfonso Fuenzalida sigue liderando con la máquina número 19. Atención, estamos ya en la cuarta vuelta. Tercer lugar para la máquina número 4 de José Miguel Yáñez. Cuarto lugar para la máquina número 4 de José Miguel Yáñez. Quinto para la número 20 de Ariel Blasque. Atención, entramos a la quinta. Ahí está el paso de la máquina número 19 liderando. Ya en la última vuelta, estamos en la quinta vuelta, seguido el corredor número 19 Alfonso Fuenzalida por la máquina número 11 de Francisco González. Tercero el 10, José Miguel Paxián. Segunda fecha del Campeonato Nacional de Jet Ski. En la quinta fecha, en cuarto lugar, el competidor número 4, José Miguel Yáñez. Quinto lugar para el número 20, Ariel Blasque. Categoría motos de agua.
David, no real surprises in the first heat of slalom.
Not at all. Our four-time world champion, Bjorn Dunkerbeck, did what was needed. He survived rough conditions, no equipment breakage, but he did have a challenger by the name of Anders Bringdahl.
Let's go down to the beach and get some thoughts from Anders Bringdahl.
Yeah, I wanted to try to get on the inside of him. And that's it.
La máquina número 4 en punta. Es emocionante y reñida largada para estos 550 centímetros cúbicos. Auspicia Cristal, la única, con la organización de Grow Publicidad, líder en eventos. Completando la primera vuelta, la máquina número 4 en cabeza, seguido por la máquina 19 de Alfonso Fuenzalida. José Miguel Yáñez conduce la máquina líder. Emocionantes primeros minutos de esta segunda manga, 6 vueltas de la categoría 550 centímetros cúbicos. A 6 vueltas, allí viene el líder. Es la máquina número 19, seguido por la número 4, la 19 de Alfonso Fuenzalida en punta, con el oficio de cal y ropas de agua. Segundo lugar para José Miguel Yáñez. Van a completar el tercer giro de esta segunda manga a 6 vueltas. Sigue liderando la máquina número 19 de Alfonso Fuenzalida con el auspicio de Club Ropa de Agua. Segundo lugar para la máquina número 4. Allí entró la tercera vuelta. A 2 vueltas de distancia, la máquina número 4 con la conducción de José Miguel Yáñez. Seguido por la número 10. De José Miguel Paxán con el oficio de Camare Autos. Cuarto lugar para la máquina número 1 de Jorge Herrera con el oficio de MX. Sigue en punta la máquina número 19. Lejos en el primer lugar y en el cuarto giro. Sin dificultades. Lidera la competencia la máquina número 19 de Alejandro Fuenzalida. Alfonso Fuenzalida sigue en el primer lugar, seguido por la máquina número 4 de José Miguel Yáñez, ahora a 3 vueltas de diferencia. Cuarto lugar para Jorge Herrera de MX. Quinto lugar para la máquina número 11 de Francisco González. Se completa el quinto giro, se entra a la última vuelta. Allí viene el puntero. ¡Atención! El primer lugar correspondió para la máquina número 19 de Alfonso Fuenzalida. Segundo lugar para la máquina número 4 de José Miguel Yáñez. Tercer lugar, José Miguel Paxián. Cuarto lugar para el número 1, Jorge Herrera. Quinto, Francisco González. Atención, bajada de meta para el número 19. completó su recorrido el número 19. Seguido, atención, casi no consigue su objetivo. En el segundo y tercer lugar, el número 4 arriba en segundo lugar, José Miguel Yáñez. Seguido por el número 10 en tercero, José Miguel. Estamos preparados entonces para la categoría.
¡Volando para acá, volando, volando! ¡Bravo!
Cuarto lugar
¡Bravo!
para el número 6, Rodrigo Fuenzalida. Por el aplauso del público recibe entonces su premio Alfonso Fuenzalida, quien corrió con la máquina número 19. Segundo lugar para José Miguel Yáñez, 30 puntos. Y la mutua felicitación entre los competidores. Tercer lugar para José Miguel Paxián, también con 30 puntos. Corrió con la máquina número 10.
Quédense ahí, ¿ah? Se quedan ahí. Ahí. Ya.
Las bellas modelos de cristal hacen entrega de estos premios y reciben el aplauso de todos los presentes al culminar los 550 centímetros cúbicos, segunda fecha del Campeonato Nacional de Jet Ski. Se preparan José Luis González, Shahan Casasian, Carlos Aguilera. Es importante hacer notar que nos acompañan en este evento el auspicio de Galf Publicidad, Galf Lubricantes, eso es. Ahí está su representante personalmente acá en este evento. Cristal, quien también nos acompaña, Cerveza Cristal La Única, hará entrega de un premio especial al primer lugar, 30 puntos. Pilotando la máquina número 1 de organización de Grow Publicidad, Rodrigo Fuenzalida. La modelo de cristal le entrega su premio al tercer lugar. Segundo lugar, con 28 puntos, conduciendo la máquina número 2 para Mario Hamburger. Ahí viene Mario Hamburger a recibir el premio correspondiente a la segunda ubicación en esta segunda fecha del Campeonato Nacional de Jet Ski, categoría motos de agua. Y estamos en condiciones de saludar a quien ocupó el primer lugar, a Santiago Fuentes, con 40 puntos. Allí está el joven, la promesa, el valor del jet ski nacional y en motos de agua. Que sea fuerte el aplauso, amigos. Merecido tienen ese aplauso del público, dado el esfuerzo, dado la calidad, dado el empeño. Será entregada en fechas posteriores a otras categorías. En esta fecha, a la categoría de 550 centímetros cúbicos. Llamamos entonces a recibir la Copa Cristal al primer lugar, a Alfonso Fuenzalida. Y allí recibe el beso, el abrazo y el aplauso del público por la Copa Cristal. Y en esta oportunidad se entregó al ganador de los 550 centímetros cúbicos.
Oye, córrete, por favor.
¿Usted corrió en moto o en jet?
Cristal, la única.
¿Cuál es su nombre?
Presente en los grandes eventos deportivos y en el jet ski.
Oye, te tapó la cuestión.
No, está bien. Ahí.
No, de nuevo. Daniel, pero huevón, te lo tapas. ¿Se creen el hoyo el que estos tontos? ¡Ey! ¿Se creen el hoyo el que, como pueden ver? Miren en las caras. Miren en las caras de este.
Evitar
Nash scoring good points with his off-the-lip moves and his powerful cutbacks during each of his wave rides. But Polikow continued to answer back with aerials like this magnificent forward loop. Robbie Nash seemed to match every move, though, and transferred into the finals. Semifinal number 2, Rush Randall, the Hawaiian, versus the Spaniard, Bjorn Dunkerbeck. Dunkerbeck started with an outstanding forward roll. Randall answers with a one-handed forward loop. Then we saw Dunkerbeck with a hanging forward loop. Matching every move was Bjorn Dunkerbeck. He goes for a difficult body drag. Randall saw this. He tried to better one with a head dip as well. But it was Dunkerbeck's aerials that gave him the edge, and he advanced into the finals. The final matchup, Bjorn Dunkerbeck and Robbie Nash. Now let's check in with Scott Trudon with a beginning windsurfing tip.
Thanks. Now I want to show you just how easy it is to actually get up and take your first ride on a windsurfer. It's really quite simple. And what you want to do is take your front foot, put it just in front of the mast step, and with your back foot, stand right behind it. This way you've got a nice center of balance. This is what they call the uphaul, and what you do is uphaul the sail, bending your knees slightly, pull the sail out of the water, and bring it right in towards your body. Now with the mast in nice and close, step back, angle the rig forward, sheet in, and you're on your way.
If you're interested in the exciting sport of windsurfing, call 1-800-333-2242 for a free brochure. Collide, two mid-air champions come down dangerously close to one another.
But Dunkerbeck, a little wave of apology to Nash, and Nash takes off in the rest of this head-to-head competition.
Nash with the tabletop, outside transition for Dunkerbeck. Now a sail 360, clue first on the wave.
Now Nash comes back with an outside transition.
He holds that jibe move, goes sail first, another sail 360. He goes down, that could cost him a lot. Big outside tabletop jump for the defending PBA champion, Nash on the inside.
Well, after that fall, David, looks like Nash has lost a little bit of his momentum, the wind dying off a little bit, and now he's trying to work hard to get some speed up.
With all the momentum in this heat is Bjorn Dunkerbeck now. Dunkerbeck, good aerials off the open face of the wave, and that ends the heat.
Well, indeed, it is Robbie Nash who lost momentum. He ends up in second position. Dunkerbeck, another win. Jason Polikow injured in third position. Rush Randall, fourth.
Broken fin. Robert Terratahau searched for that elusive first ever double looping competition.
I'm not scared. I mean, less scared than the other guy, I think. And yeah, come full speed and I hit the ramp. I can do something very radical, and everything is in the head anyway.
At the quarterfinal stage, the final 8 saw Mark Pedersen of Australia matched up against Robbie Nash, the PBA Wave Performance champion. Bill McGain from Australia made this forward loop. He was up against Bjorn Dunkerbeck, who answered back with a large back loop. Hawaii's Rush Randall overpowered Robbie Seeger despite the big forward loops by the German. Anders Bringdahl spectacularly crashed out against an injured hot Aussie, Jason Polikow, who was sailing with 7 fresh stitches in his foot. Battling through the pain, though, Polikow advanced in the semifinals to meet Robbie Nash in a rematch of the 1991 World Tour Finals. Nash pulled a high tabletop jump. And then coming in, a brilliant forward roll on the wave face. Jason knew he had to pull something out of the bag and made a typical forward loop. Perfectly landed. Nash scoring good points with his off-the-lip moves and his powerful cutbacks during each of his wave rides. But Polikow continued to answer back with aerials like this magnificent forward loop. Robbie Nash seemed to match every move, though, and transferred into the finals. Semifinal number 2, Rush Randall, the Hawaiian versus the Spaniard Bjorn Dunkerbeck. Dunkerbeck started with an outstanding forward roll. Randall answers with a one-handed forward loop. Then we saw Dunkerbeck with a hanging forward loop. Matching every move was Bjorn Dunkerbeck. He goes for a difficult body drag. Randall saw this. He tried to better one with a head dip as well. But it was Dunkerbeck's aerials that gave him the edge, and he advanced into the finals. The final matchup, Bjorn Dunkerbeck and Robbie Nash. Now let's check in with Scott Trudon with a beginning windsurfing tip.
Thanks. Now I want to show you just...
Sports Tour. Today from Virginia Beach, Virginia, the Ford Atlantic Nationals. David Stanfield, Larry Riffman-Kroger, and Larry, the Atlantic Ocean, a great venue here at Virginia Beach. We've got salt water and a right-handed course. First of all, salt water in the ocean.
Well, that plays a part in the way the skis handle. They're a little more buoyant in salt water. A couple of handling characteristics that the riders have to deal with. The right-hand course, though, that's a big change. Every weekend they try and make things a little bit different. Sometimes it's a left, sometimes it's a right. This weekend it is a right. And it's also a matter of convenience. The riders can come across the finish line and pull right into the pit.
18 years old out of Naples, Florida, the third-year pro, moves into third spot in this race. He is currently 4th overall in this class, and he shows a lot of promise.
He really does, David. You talked earlier about the strange things happening here in Virginia Beach. There was another outside pass. That's something we don't see very often.
Jeff Jacobs currently number 2 in this race, trying to chase down Victor Sheldon. Now, he doesn't have the fastest straightaway speed according to the radar gun. It's Victor Sheldon. In fact, he doesn't have the fastest turn speed, but he seems to be staying with Victor Sheldon.
I think Jeff maybe is a little bit faster in the tight sections, but Victor is making it work overall.
Victor Sheldon looking for his 7th Pro Modified victory of the year. Sheldon and Jacobs, a great race going on. Previous lap, they were 1.7 seconds between one another. This time, now they're 2 seconds between, but take a look at Chris McCluggage. McCluggage coming up and challenging.
This is the same turn that Victor got by Jeff earlier. McCluggage doing the same thing around the outside, but doesn't quite get it. Look at, oh, almost lands on Jeff in that turn.
Chris McCluggage, very aggressive riding, but Jeff Jacobs, the defending national champion, holding off McCluggage. But this battle right here for second, they're definitely closing up on Victor Sheldon. Now we've got a camera on top of the hotel. Take a look at this bird's eye view of McCluggage's attempted pass.
McCluggage there in the 3rd position. You see him there going around the outside of Jacobs. He's got the drive, but he goes a little bit wide. Jacobs makes a little better turn, but look at this coming up. McCluggage now on the inside for this upcoming left-hand turn. Gets a lot of air and comes down. Just misses Jeff.
Some great aggressive riding by Chris McCluggage, the 3rd-year pro, but this is his 1st year in the Pro Modified class. Jeff Jacobs is in 2nd, and Victor Sheldon continues to lead. The top 5 have temporarily sorted themselves out, which gives us the opportunity to take a look back at women's highlights. It is indeed an odd day of racing, beginning with women's moto number 1 and women's tour leader Christy Carlson, who easily took the whole shot and then realized that her boat's hood had not been fastened properly and had come loose. Rather than take the time to adjust her equipment, Christy continued on cautiously, trying to keep the hood from falling off entirely by holding it with a handle pole.
Well, I've never been in that situation before, so a lot of things went through my mind. I've seen Jeff Jacobs finish a race with a
shot. Her chief rival, Kamiko Matsuguchi, rocketed into the lead. but it was a circumstance that Christie would soon remedy. In lap 2, Christie moved up on Kamiko and simply blew her aside to take over the lead and return matters back to normal. Christie took the win in Moto number 2, but when it was averaged with her earlier DNF, the current tour leader took 6th overall.
With 2 second-place finishes, Matsuguchi took the overall win. Larry spoke to her through interpreter Hirosuke.
Very good rider also, but maybe next race she wants to win, not without good luck.
Same standings, Sheldon leading, followed by Jacobs, McCluggage, Fischetti, and Fitzgerald. Victor looking very strong.
Very strong indeed. One of the things I noticed about Victor, look, he's got his right foot forward, left foot back. That is one of the things I believe that enables Victor to turn right so much better than everybody else out here. Little leg drag with the left foot in the left-hand turns, but on the right-hand turns, you'll see him coming up here. Drops his body down into the water, a little bobble there with the lap riders, but that is why he turns right so well, that right foot forward.
The white flag is flying, signifying the last lap. Victor Sheldon going after a weekend sweep. And what a great weekend for Victor Sheldon if he does win this, his second Pro Modified of the day.
Phenomenal ride by Victor Sheldon, but it's not over yet. Look at Jacobs, he's turning it up. Last lap, and Jacobs is on the charge.
Jacobs has it dialed in right now. Take a look at his technique.
Left foot forward, right foot back, just the opposite of Victor Sheldon. Great style with Jeff. He looks very effortless, but he just doesn't quite get around the course, especially on this right-hand course as well as Victor does.
Jeff Jacobs is on the gas, but it's too little too late. It looks like a couple more turns. Checker flag coming out. Victor Sheldon, a weekend sweep here in Virginia Beach, Virginia. His 7th Pro Modified win of the year. And Victor Sheldon continues racing.
The strange things happen, and they continue to happen here in Virginia.
Here's a look at the top 5, headed by Victor Sheldon. We'll speak with Victor, our winner, if and when he decides to return to the beach. Line on the approaching turn and did not see Chambers roaring down the straight. The result, poison in the water and pride on the shelf for Jeff Poison Freer. Jeff was still able to retrieve his boat, fire it up, and finish the race. Meanwhile, Tim Judge, who many refer to as a two-stroke guru because of his wrenching expertise, took Moto win number 1.
Moto number 2 began much the same as Moto number 1, with Tim Judge again jumping into the lead and never losing it. As in the first race, Art Chambers grabbed 2nd place. Back in the pack, Matt Alligood and Brian Kennedy were mixing it up. Alligood went from outside to inside on the turn, and Kennedy suddenly found himself taking a swim and his ski taking the rest of the day off. Jim Loophole developed
good starts, drawing different lines on the track that you might draw wider lines on a rough water race because to keep your momentum up compared to a smooth water where you could dive in and turn. And fast and smooth and not...
The approach may be conservative, but the results are nothing short of spectacular.
Next up, exciting freestyle competition. Stay with me. Even finishing a race like this is a major accomplishment, but McCluggage was triumphant. In the end, McCluggage did qualify. The fact is, the stress level is soaring, as is the level of competition. The reason? Points are getting precious as we approach the final 4 stops of the IGSBA Bud Jet Sports Tour. The pressure is on for results, and the racers have donned a no compromise, no prisoners attitude, taking performances to the limit and beyond. The IGSBA Bud Jet Sports Tour today from Harris Riverfront Park in Huntington, West Virginia. The West Coast Performance Tri-State Nationals, Huntington, West Virginia.
Into a sweeping right-hand turn, and from there things get very interesting. They enter the course on the backside, do another sweeping right-hand turn. Suddenly they find themselves into a left-hand course. They go into a tight section, and this is where we're going to be taking our radar readings today. Went to the main and he wanted it with grand style.
Now here's some inside information. Jeff Jacobs
very well, and the results showed in the first heat.
It's still like a modified 550. Next week it could be a 750. Who knows? But he is on a roll right now. Jeff Jacobs is on the line. He wants to sweep this weekend here in Huntington, West Virginia. Let's go to the Pro Modified main event number 2.
Well, Dave, one of the interesting factors that we have working this weekend is that current is flowing from right to left at about 4 knots. The riders are going to be taken out away from that first turn buoy. They're going to have to almost aim for it to be in the right position by the time they get there.
Jeff Jacobs, boat number 1, pole position. To his left, Victor Sheldon, followed by Harry Gocher, McCluggage, Schultz, Yelich, Fischetti, and Pointer. And it is Jeff Jacobs, boat number 1, and Jason Schultz. But on the outside, Chris Fischetti, the Black Triangle, the world champion, takes the whole shot.
Bonsai move by Fischetti on that 750. It looks like Dave, he's finally got the handling figured out on that thing.
24-year-old Chris Fischetti out of El Cajon, California, the 7th-year pro with the hole shot and a substantial lead just in the first 2 turns.
The big difference there, Dave, Fischetti went into that first turn and just bonsai'd wide open all the way around the outside. It didn't look like he even let off.
Here's our leader, Chris Fischetti, boat number 1, followed by Jeff Jacobs. In 3rd spot, 9X, the white boat, Chris McCluggage, followed by Billy Pointer, boat number 35. And look at Chris Fischetti flying down the front straightaway.
Chris Fischetti flying indeed. His dad, Pops Fischetti's been doing a lot of work on that thing. It looks like they're starting to get it dialed in.
Chris Fischetti, our leader right now. Can he hold on? His best finishes thus far this season. He has 3 second-place finishes and a fantastic hole shot. It came a little bit late.
It did. In fact, it looked like Jacobs on the inside was going to pull it off. He squats down here trying to squeeze out a little more top end. Him and Jason Schultz let off for the first time, but look at Fischetti on the outside, just wide open around there, sweeping right past him.
No doubt, Chris Fischetti and his father, affectionately known as Pops, has found the speed. Fischetti leads Jeff Jacobs, Chris McCluggage, and Billy Pointer. But does he have the endurance?
I think, Dave, that will be the key here. Fischetti has not had the best of health this year. He's had some problems with a virus. But no doubt the mid-season R&D work is starting to pay off on the machine.
Fischetti holding on the lead, but he is being pressured by Jeff Jacobs, who wants a clean sweep here in Huntington, West Virginia. Stay with us. The West Coast Performance Tri-State Nationals continue. Sports Tour round number 7, the West Coast Performance Tri-State Nationals, Huntington, West Virginia on the mighty Ohio River. Our leader is Chris Fischetti, followed by Jeff Jacobs. Chris McCluggage and Billy Pointer. Rubbing fiberglass at the start was Victor Sheldon and Harry Gocher. Victor Sheldon has moved into 5th place, but all eyes are on Chris Fischetti and this man, boat number 1, the defending national champion, Jeff Jacobs, and take a look at the front straightaway.
That brutal front straightaway, Dave. We talk about all that chop. It is really brutal.
And Jeff Jacobs misses the buoy, that left-hander, and Chris McCluggage, the white boat 9X, moves into 2nd. Jacobs, who looks like he had the hole shot at the beginning of this race, has now dropped to 3rd.
That is really a surprise. Jacob was looking much better than he has in the weeks past. He's got a new machine. Actually, it's his practice boat, but he likes the way it handles much better than what he has been using in Pro Mod number 2. He brought it out this weekend. He was looking much smoother, but he made a very costly mistake there.
Chris McCluggage chasing down Chris Fischetti. Now, Chris Fischetti's fan club, the Fish Syndicate. Here's an update by the entertaining Fish himself.
Fish, mental syndrome now healing quickly. Faster boats, reorganized horsepower, added strength, hopefully flawless.
Well, thus far, the Flying Fish has been flawless. Take a look at his front straightaway speed across that bumpy seawall. 41.2 miles per hour.
That's very impressive with these rough conditions right here, Dave. McCluggage in 2nd, and look at Jacobs. He's all over him. Jacobs not looking like in the weekends past his mental attitude, but looked like he was a little frustrated. Today, he's on the gas and very aggressive.
The 4-time world champion, take a look at the beeline, trying to capture 2nd place over McCluggage. McCluggage goes wide into the center of the river, and they meet at that next buoy.
They slammed in that turn, Dave. I don't know what McCluggage was doing out so wide, if he was compensating for the current or what. Jacobs saw it, he took advantage of it and stole 2nd place away from him.
Let's take a look at that pass one more time where they tagged one another.
McCluggage trying to come back inside. Him and Jacobs make a little contact there. McCluggage, though, he bobbles, he goes down, and Jacobs is gone.
Jeff Jacobs on that modified 550. You'd think the 750 would be handling better in these rough conditions, but Jeff Jacobs has got the speed down the front straightaway. Fischetti turned in a 41.2 for his top speed. Jeff Jacobs clocks in at 41.5.
A little faster, and that is really a surprise. The 750s handle so much better in the chop, but Jacobs, that new machine of his, he's looking like the Jacobs of old today.
Well, Jeff Jacobs is making life very difficult for Chris Fischetti. He has moved up on Fischetti and looking for a way around him.
Dave, Fischetti went wide in that turn. You got to wonder if endurance is, in fact, starting to play a part. And look at Jacobs. He's all over him.
It looks like Fischetti is running out of gas himself personally. Jacobs to the outside, back to the inside. What a pass.
Great move by Jacobs. Fischetti was looking back. Look how he was trying to block him in that turn, and Jacobs cut across his wake, outsmarted him, and went by him.
Our leader now is Jeff Jacobs, the blue and white boat, boat number 1, the defending national champion. Fischetti now has got to settle with 2nd place. He's going to try to hold off Chris McCluggage. Here's the pass one more time.
Going into the left-hand turn, Fischetti looking over his shoulder. He tries to take Jacobs out wide, but Jacobs, incredible move, cuts across his wake. That is so hard to do when you're mid-turn. Jacobs stand on the outside, but he takes advantage of that right-hand turn and goes by Fischetti. It's almost like he knew what was going to happen before it did.
Well, Jeff Jacobs, in defending his national title, he's back up against the wall. He needs as many points as possible. The white flag is flying. One more lap to go. He's in a hunt for the national title, trying to defend that over Victor Sheldon. The tour leader is in 4th place right now.
A phenomenal ride by Victor, an 8th place start. He's all the way up to 4th and going for 3rd. Chris McCluggage in front of him. He goes to the inside. Oh, and he misses the buoy.
McCluggage holds on to 3rd. Victor Sheldon, a slight mistake, probably caused by the current of the river, misses that left-handed turn, just exactly what Jeff Jacobs did. And what about the flying fish? Chris Machete, what a great effort today.
Indeed, a great effort. You can see Chris definitely showing signs of fatigue there with this heat and humidity here taking its toll, but a fantastic ride.
But our leader, the man that's going to sweep the weekend, is Jeff Jacobs, boat number 1, 20 years old, out of El Cajon, California. The 5-time and defending national champion, the 4-time world champion, is just cruising now.
Dave, this makes things interesting. Jeff's been indicating he's going to switch to a 750 next week, but with the results today, you got to wonder.
A clean sweep this weekend for Jeff Jacobs. He gained some points on Victor Sheldon, the tour leader. Chris Machete, his 4th runner-up spot. A great showing for Chris, followed by Chris McCluggage, Victor Sheldon, and Billy Pointer. They round out the top 5. We'll be right back to speak with our champion, Jeff Jacobs. Stay with us.
All this and more on Body Shaping.
I said, you know, that enough's enough, and I just want to come back, and I think the drive is finally back where I want to get out there and be number 1 and win those races.
Okay, now the big question. Rumor had Donwood to challenge her for 2nd place, but Kamiko managed to fight her off repeatedly.
Repeatedly and successfully until the 9th lap, when out of nowhere, Tara Lejo flashed by both of them, taking everyone by surprise and taking over 2nd place once and for all.
So Christy Carlson takes her 2nd win in as many motos, further increasing her overall tour lead, while Tara Lejo grabbed her second place finish of the day. A head-to-head drag race between Matsuguchi and Wood gave Kamiko a hard-fought 3rd and a salute from 4th place Don Wood, who finished 3rd overall today.
In 1990, Christy had problems here.
Ability to make sure the boat is ready to race.
Basically, all the main work's done before the season ever starts. All the testing's done during the winter. You build the boats, you test them, you go to the first race. And from that point, it's just a maintenance program we have. Carburetors have to be tuned, and the skis have to be, you know, basically tuned for the particular day, the race, the course. There's things that have to be done in the pump and so forth to get the boats to hook up for different types of water conditions. And so there's always a lot of work to be done, for sure.
Many teams like the Pachettes and the Pointers have found the most success when it's a family affair.
My dad's a mechanic. He puts the skis together. Basically, I take the stuff apart, clean it, and my dad assembles it again. Cleaning's not too fun if some of the parts are really dirty, but it's worth it. I mean, my dad's the best mechanic, and I couldn't be happier with the work he's done so far, so he's great.
Most people say that a dog is a man's best friend, but to a racer, it's his mechanic.
Judges looking for difficulty, precision, and variety in a 2-minute routine. A perfect score is 50 points. The crowd here in Huntington, West Virginia loves the spectacular routines and the antics of the freestylers, and today's group wasn't disappointed. Taking 5th place was Ned Lowry from the great state of Virginia.
Ned doesn't travel the entire tour. It's just a few selected events, but it's always good when he shows up. It makes for more than just one X2, and I think that gives the judges a little more basis for the scores.
Ned Lowry finishes with a score of 47.0, a 5th place on the day. Now coming in 4th today was the defending national and world freestyle champion Scott Watkins, who received his 4th place after a ski-off with you, Larry.
Scott had a good routine, some nice transitions. You see the Hollywood corkscrew into the side corkscrew. It's a difficult move. It looks a lot easier than it really is. There's a Bronco into a barrel roll. That's a new move this year. I think Scott just started that last weekend. Another great move by Scott, a 360 standing up on the hood. Very high center of gravity here. And then a 1-foot 360, a little bobble, but he covers it up very well.
Scott Watkins score 47.2, tied with Larry Rippenkroger, and eventually ended up 4th place for the day. Taking 3rd spot was my partner, Larry the Ripper Rippenkroger, defeating Watkins in a 1-minute ski-off.
Those 1-minute ski-offs are always very difficult. You have a 2-minute routine worked out in your head, but when you have to go out for 1 minute, you're suddenly ad-libbing.
Here you're setting up for the popular Australian backwards barefoot, but Larry, I thought you really shined in your submarines today.
You know, some days you're on, some days you're off. I can recall back at Lake Havasu a few years back where I couldn't do a submarine to save my life, but today, boy, I was really fortunate.
Final score after this great fountain into the crowd, 47.2. It tied you with Scott Watkins, but again, you won the 1-minute ski off. A third place for Larry the Ripper Rippenkroger. In second place, Jeff Kamikaze Can, Samurai headband and all.
Jeff with a fairly strong routine today. Some nice transition moves, very quick. Some balance moves. There's the headstand with a split and a bicycle move. We saw Ned do that earlier. A lot of Ned's routine emulated Jeff, but Jeff today was much cleaner. Just a couple of small bobbles cost him.
Jeff Kant's unique, acrobatic, innovative, and full throttle tricks. The crowd loved it. Last 2 years, he has won Huntington, West Virginia. The final tally, a score of 47.5, gave Jeff Kant a second-place finish, and the current tour leader retains his lead. But today's freestyle winner, Lloyd Berlew, is coming on strong.
Strong routine today indeed by Lloyd Berlew. Very flashy. I think that's what works so well for him, is he doesn't spend a lot of time setting up for his tricks. He just flows from one to the other.
The second-year pro, former 1990 World Amateur Freestyle Champion, has won 3 of the last 4 events he's entered. A 48.2 gave Lloyd the win, and more importantly, put him within striking distance of tour leader Jeff Kantz.
This win here put me into second place, 2 points behind Jeff Kantz, who was in first. And the last 3 weeks, there's been a jump in position every week. I couldn't be happier.
Congratulations to Lloyd Berlew. More from Huntington, West Virginia, right after this.
Top 10, we've got 4 different types of machines, all within the top 10.
With the engine changes that are allowed now, it's really working out very well. We've got 550s, we've got 2 forms of 650s, and of course the new 750s working out real well. 750s have been a real surprise. They're running way up to the top for a machine that's just been recently introduced, and
Welcome to round number 4 of the IJSBA Bud Jet Sports Tour. Today from Dallas, Texas, the West Coast Performance Texas Nationals. David Stanfield, Larry Rippenkroger. Larry, we've seen some new racers on the tour this year, some new machinery, but now a new venue, Lake Park West. It's ideal for racing.
Very much so. Very accommodating people here in Dallas, Texas. And the race course itself, probably the biggest we're going to see all season long, and it is a right-hand course. Long start straightaway, leading out to a sweeping right-hand first turn, a zigzag section coming back towards shore, and then a very tight zigzag section right as you come along shore. This, I think, is where all the passing is going to take place. It gives the rider a chance to set someone up, get by, get underneath, get outside, whatever it takes. As they go past the shoreline in front, they'd make another right, head back away from shore, as a bigger, wide-open zigzag section, and then back out into that long back straightaway. With the smooth water conditions today, I think we're going to see some of the fastest radar readings of all season.
A great course for the 750s and the 550 modified, the combination course. This body of water actually flows into the Trinity River, but it's a man-made lake, and it has some speed records to be broken. In the expert class on Saturday, they broke all slalom records, and this morning, as expected, Christy Carlson and Jeff Jacobs did the job.
They did it, what was expected. Ideal conditions, glass smooth water for slalom this morning. Jeff Jacobs and Christy Carlson, new world records.
Competition between Jeff Jacobs, Victor Sheldon, Chris Fischetti, and the rest, well, it's heating up. Early this morning, everyone expected to do well because the conditions were so ideal, but on the 550, it was Jeff Jacobs looking fast down the back straight and very fast in the turns.
I think in the tight section, Jeff may have a bit of an advantage. The 550s are a little more agile, but in the rough water conditions is where the 750s shine. It's a good balance. It's going to be real interesting.
He went on to win race number 1 this morning. Coming in second, Chris Fischetti.
Chris Fischetti, I think a surprise to a lot of people. Chris has been a little bit out of focus in the earlier rounds, but he seems to have gotten it back together. He's had a virus also, and he's feeling quite a bit better, and it showed earlier today.
Well, we know Victor Sheldon has the speed on the 750. In fact, a lot of fast boats out there. We're going to be clocking them with radar down the back straight and in one turn.
Yeah, and more significant than the back straight speed is the corner speed. In essence, it's like late braking in road racing. The rider who can go into the turn the hardest, the most aggressive, and carry that speed through the turn, he's the one that's going to go the fastest and set the quickest lap times.
Larry, your favorites right now is we have 16 of the best riders in the world on the line for Pro Modified race number 2 today.
Obviously, Jeff Jacobs has to be a favorite. He's got a clean sweep going for him last weekend and another one under his belt so far today. Victor Sheldon, though, nobody turns right as good as Victor. I would consider him a definite favorite. And then there's Chris McCluggage. Some look at him like a dark horse. He has been extremely consistent this year, and I would say without a doubt before this year is over, he's going to win one.
currently ranked number 5, 18 years old. Last year, he was in the X2 class. In 1990, the Pro X2 overall world champion, McCluggage 9X on a new machine. He has pole position. To his left is Harry Gocher. To Harry Gocher's left is Chris Fischetti, and then there's Jeff Jacobs. Victor Sheldon way to the inside, but it is Harry Gocher with the whole shot.
Now this is a surprise. Harry Gocher on a 750. This is his first outing on a 750. This is kind of difficult to do mid-season, a new machine.
Gocher's being challenged on the outside by Victor Sheldon, boat number 2. And a switch, Sheldon goes to the inside, now he's to the outside, back to the inside. What a battle between Gocher, boat number 4, and Sheldon, boat number 2.
This is going to be good. There's no love lost between these guys off the course, and on the course it's going to show.
Fiberglass is flying, these two guys are railing one another. Coming out ahead, though, is boat number 2, Victor Sheldon out of Vista, California. And there is Chris McCluggage making a move as well.
McCluggage already going by Gocher as well. I think that it's Gocher's lack of experience on the 750 that is already shown. He's off to an early hole shot, but he just can't make that thing go where he wants it to go right now.
Our leader to start the first lap is Victor Sheldon, followed by McCluggage, Jacobs, Yelich, Wood, Gocher back to 6th. Then we have Fischetti, Bonacci, Ross from Australia, Fitzgerald, Schultz, Kanamori, and Eckert. Now we pick up our leader, Victor Sheldon, approaching the back straight. Radar gun is out. Victor Sheldon, the 4th-year pro, is flying.
Let's take a look. Top speed, 48.7, and the corner speed, this is going to be real interesting. 18.7. We're going to have to wait and see how that compares to everybody else. Water already very choppy.
Here's a look at the current standings. Victor Sheldon leads Chris McCluggage and Jeff Jacobs. Quite a surprise. Can Jacobs come back and sweep another weekend? The West Coast Performance Texas Nationals from Dallas, Texas continues with the Pro Modified Final.
With ESPN's midday workout. First at 11, Body by Jake gets your engine started with a workout and great health and fitness information. Keep on going at 11:30 with a well-rounded routine on Getting Fit with Denise Austin. You'll keep on moving at noon with aerobic exercise on Bodies in Motion. And then at 12:30, Body Shaping helps you tone up and slim down. It's better to look good and feel good on ESPN's midday workout.
Hey, tennis fans, ESPN International has your favorite players in tennis's most prestigious tournaments. Davis Cup, Federation Cup, Family Circle Cup, Stuttgart, Grand Slam Cup, Seiko, and German Open. See it all on ESPN International.
We're going for a ride in the car. Hey, mama, mama, hey, daddy, daddy, buckle me into my safety seat, my safety seat. Watching the world from my safety seat as we go for a ride in the car, car, car. When we want to go near or far, 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 we'll be safe when we ride in the car.
Performance, Texas Nationals, Lake Park West, Dallas, Texas, David Stanfield with Larry Rippenkroger. Current standings, Victor Sheldon leads Chris McCluggage, Jeff Jacobs, and Mike Yelich. Right now, we're going to take a look at the duration, the time duration between Victor Sheldon and Chris McCluggage. Now, the previous lap was 6.8. There goes Sheldon. And here comes Chris McCluggage.
These two have been seesawing back and forth. 6.4, McCluggage has gained on him on that last lap a little bit. McCluggage, I tell you what, I'm impressed with this kid.
Here's Jeff Jacobs in 3rd position, somewhat unusual.
Jacobs right now not looking like his smooth self. I don't know what his problem is. He's not really in rhythm. It just hasn't seemed to found the groove yet.
In the groove is Victor Sheldon down the back straight. A speed of 42 miles per hour. Oh, and Victor goes down.
Can you believe it? Over 42 miles an hour, and he gets off, and he's back up.
And here comes Chris McCluggage. McCluggage out of Naples, Florida, the 3rd-year pro, is now chasing down Victor Sheldon. what a disastrous crash. I cannot believe he's in one piece. He's still got his goggles on his helmet. In fact, he still has his helmet.
It's pretty amazing. Mere mortals, I think, would have just let the thing go. Victor Sheldon, somehow, some way, he held on to that thing. I think that shows his desire to win right there.
Second overall last year on the National Tour. Victor Sheldon has his sights at winning this year's National Tour. Here comes Chris McCluggage in the white boat right behind him through slower traffic.
There's a lap rider in between Victor and Chris, and that rider is not yielding to the official's flag. McCluggage may have to get a little aggressive.
Not cutting much slack. McCluggage is held up. He looks back. Here's the battle for fourth place right now. Mike Yelich out of Fallbrook, California. Yelich, the white boat, number 26. To the inside is Harry Gocher, boat number 4. Gocher got the whole shot and has dropped back to 5th spot, but he's making the best of it. Back to our leader, boat number 2. Victor Sheldon down the backstraight. Here comes Chris McCluggage again. He's past the lappers. McCluggage is making Victor Sheldon an honest man. Victor on that 750. On the first lap, he exchanged fiberglass with Harry Gocher, and then he had that 42-mile-per-hour crash. But now he has regained his composure. He is riding precise. A beautiful race for Victor Sheldon, the 25-year-old out of Vista, California, and an absolutely great race for the rookie in this class, Chris McCluggage. Earlier this morning, Victor Sheldon, a third-place finish in the Pro Modified race number 1. But this win here more than makes up for anything today. A first-place victory ahead of Chris McCluggage, and most importantly, ahead of Jeff Jacobs, who does finish the race in 3rd place. Victor Sheldon and Chris McCluggage, a great day for them. Jeff Jacobs comes in 3rd, followed by Mike Yelich, Harry Gocher, and Chris Fischetti. Here comes Victor Sheldon. Let's go down beachside with Larry Rippenkroger.
Great ride, great ride,
man.
great ride.
That was,
Tell me about it.
oh man, that was the longest fought race I've ever been in. You know, I didn't have a really great start. Me and Harry were right there, and we were battling for it, and I picked a couple better lines than he did, and I came out in front to the checkered flag. I'm pumped, man. And then I looked back and I didn't see Jeff, so that was a good thought. Then I saw Chris McCluggage, man, and that was a worse thought.
How hard were you having to push? You know, Chris was right behind you the entire race. Were you having to pretty much hammer it the whole race?
Oh, you know, I crashed really hard going down the back stretch, and I thought that was it. You know, I thought it was done. You know, luckily my butches ski just got back on the gas, and I opened my pace up again. Then I look back, and there he is again, you know, so I'm going, oh my God, what's he on? And, you know, it was one of the hardest spot races I've ever had. You know, I just hope everything keeps going, and, you know, I'm really happy.
Woo! Congratulations to Victor. Still plenty of action ahead when we return with the West Coast Performance Texas National. Stay with us.
All this and more on Body Shaping.
The greatest sports America has to offer keeps you tuned in to ESPN, like NCAA basketball. Hold on, the hits keep coming. ESPN, the Total Sports Network.
After dating the guy forever, you think I could tell him anything. Why is this so hard? I'm really scared.
It takes a lot of guts to tell someone he's too drunk to drive. But you can do it. Just say it. Because if you don't, there may be nothing left to say.
Kevin, I'm gonna drive.
Take the keys, call a cab, take a stand. Friends don't let friends drive drunk.
Welcome back to Dallas, Texas, and the West Coast Performance Texas Nationals, round number 4 of the Bud Jet Sports Tour. David Stanfield with Larry Rippenkroger and this new venue here. Lake Park West has been beautiful all day long. Other than an early morning rainstorm, we saw some great conditions in the other main events.
In the Pro X2 modified class, Tim Judge is proving to be the man to beat. However, in the overall battle, it is Art Chambers that is showing them that consistency is what it's going to take to win the overall championship. In the Pro Women's class, it's all Christy Carlson.
Today's close course competition for the women consisted of 2 motos. The point totals of each racer's placing in each moto determining the overall final results. Christy took both the hole shots and ran away from the field.
Well, with this big track, it's hard to catch up to the leaders as quickly as a small track, but I would like to also say that, yes, the competition is getting faster. Kamiko gave me a pretty good battle in our first moto, and they're improving every week with their experience. The course is really big today, and it starts out really smooth, but as the race continued, it got very choppy towards the front section of the course. But for the most part, it's a test of endurance, and it was fun, though. I like those kind of races.
And she's got to like the final results. By virtue of her 2 first-place finishes, Christy Carlson continues her unbroken winning streak in 1992, which translates into a 47-point lead over her closest rival, Kumiko Matsuguchi. The X2 competition is proving to be the most diverse in terms of outstanding performances, and no one individual is dominating. As with the women's close course competition, the X2 Pro Mod was made up of 2 motos, with the rider's overall results being determined by his placings in each moto.
In moto number 2, the hole shot and ultimately the win went to Hollywood, Florida's Tim Judge, who's having a great year thus far in the Pro Mod class.
Current X2 World Champion Matt Alligood took a 2nd place finish in moto number 1 to keep himself in the hunt for the overall title. And Jim Leupold took a 3rd in moto number 2 and earlier broke the X2 slalom world record with a run of 22.14.
Mike Jacobs, taking a 3rd in moto number 1, is also within striking distance of the overall lead. But today, the only man to place in the top 3 in both motos was Art Chambers from Millbrae, California. He took a 1st in moto number 1 and a 2nd in moto number 2 to take the overall win.
Since joining the X2 class, 7th-year pro Art Chambers has developed a great style.
Art uses what's called a crossover style. He crosses over with both legs and each turn dragging the inside leg. That really sets that inside rail on the hull.
Well, with 1st and 2nd place finishes in 2 heats, Art Chambers takes his 2nd X2 Pro Mod victory in a row.
Well, Tim had a pretty good pace going, and I knew that a win wasn't necessary to win the overall. So I had a nice spot in 2nd. I figured I'd cruise there, let Tim do his thing. I felt the pressure from Matt Alligood, and I believe Jim Leupold was back there. But I figured my pace was strong enough. If I made no mistakes and used my head, I'd take the win.
And in taking the win, Art grabbed the overall X2 class lead after 4 events. Those involved in jet sports competition, probably the 2 most significant dates in their career have to be their very first race and a day that they go from the expert class into the pros.
Well, that's right. I can't emphasize enough just how much different it is to step up from the expert division into the pro class. These guys really play for keeps. They can often be a school of hard knocks. But today in Jet Scoop, we're going to take a look at some of the upcoming rookie pros. The change from the expert class to the pro class is like trying to jump the Grand Canyon. Those that survive the leap to the pro class are quite fortunate. Support comes from a variety of sponsors, but with that comes a variety of promotional obligations. The biggest change, however, is on the race course.
The pro class is definitely more aggressive. There's a lot more faster riders in there. It's real competitive. I'd have to say the gap from 3rd place or so to around 14th or 15th is so small. You've got a lot of guys that are going really fast, a lot of guys with fast equipment. So it's going to be who gets a start and who's the most aggressive.
Everybody's skis are a lot faster, and it's just way more competitive, but it's also fun at the same time. It's just more fun.
While most admit they have a lot to learn from the top pros, a few have already gained some interesting insights that may be surprising.
Well, I've learned that the established pros are not unbeatable. They are beatable. I think a lot of people look at them as just the fastest things on the water, and people just want to be in behind them. And if you want something bad enough, you can have it. But you still have to respect them on the water because they have done a lot for the sport. But they are definitely beatable. I'd like to think that they think of me as a threat. And maybe not this year, but I'm definitely going to be there in the future.
If I was in the top 3 looking at this new wave of rookie pros, I'd head for high ground.
When the world's top golfers get together, you never know what.
Weather conditions were a bit gloomier this morning. A light rain was falling, but the water was smooth and glossy for the competition. As usual, the 7 freestyle judges would be awarding up to 10 points for the routines based on precision, difficulty, and variety. High and low scores thrown out. A perfect score is 50 points. Today's competition was a departure from the previous tour result in that the current freestyle tour leader, Jeff Kantz, could earn no better than a 5th place finish.
Well, with almost ideal conditions, Jeff did not have his best routine. Just a couple of mistakes, but enough to drop him down to 5th place.
An unhappy Jeff Kantz, a score of 46.4. Our own Larry Rippenkroger slipping to a 4th place finish this week after 3 previous 3rd place finishes. Larry, what do you have to say for yourself?
Well, same thing. I come in, I see glass smooth water, and I think to myself, hey, this weekend's mine, and I don't know what happened. I couldn't stay on either. You know, I look at it, though, like if I had to have an off day, at least I was in good company with both Jeff and Scott also having off days.
Well, the bad news is you did not win the event, but the good news is you gained some ground on the tour leaders. A score of 46.7 points gave you, Larry, a 4th place finish and lots to think about before the next event. In 3rd place today, another surprise, Scott Watkins, failing for the first time this year to capture either 2nd or 1st place.
Scott actually tied with Chris Williams in his first 2-minute routine, so he and Chris each had a 1-minute ski-off, which decided their final placing. Obviously, Scott's performance today was not quite up to his usual standards, although a 3rd is nothing to be mad about. Scott had some good transitional moves. That was one there. He goes into a backwards barefoot. He had just a couple of small bobbles that unfortunately were in parts of his routine that he just couldn't quite cover up, and judges were well aware of them.
So the ski-off between Watkins and Williams nets Scott a score of 47.2. Good for 3rd place on this day of upsets. And this man, Chris Williams, 3 previous 4th place finishes, today getting the better of Scott Watkins in the ski-off and capturing the 2nd place spot.
Chris always seems to hold up well under pressure. I can recall a few years back when he beat me in a 1-minute runoff at the World Championships. And he did it once again today. Chris had some big moves, some nice submarines. Not only did the top 3 riders have a bad day, but Chris had a real good day. A strong routine, very clean. I think he likes his smooth water.
Chris Williams, a score of 47.4, gave Crash a hard-earned but much appreciated 2nd place. But the man of the hour on this day was Lloyd Berlew, 3 previous 4th place finishes. Today he grabbed the top spot, his first win of 1992.
Lloyd showing a lot of flexibility there. Mr. Showtime, as he's called, really got the crowd behind him. The folks here in Dallas, Texas got behind him and cheered like nobody else. This move here, a handstand, very famous. He's added a split, though. Real energetic.
Well, his philosophy, ski hard, ski safe, push it to the limit, but know your limit. He knew his limit. He loved the conditions here, and a great routine for Lloyd Berlew.
Lloyd had one of those days with no mistakes. He had probably the most flawless routine I've ever seen him do.
Lloyd Berlew's routine today earns him a net score of 47.7, good enough for a victory in the freestyle competition here in Dallas. And afterward, Larry acknowledged that the win had been a long time coming.
It has been, Larry. The competition's tough, and it feels so good to win. It really does. What a feeling.
And in a big day of upsets, the overall standings see 2 significant changes. Jeff Kantz's 5th place finish drops him into a tie for the lead with Scott Watkins. And Lloyd Berlew's win allows him to slip past Larry Rippenkroger into the 3rd spot. The 92 freestyle competition is shaping up into a very interesting series of developments. We'll be right back with more from Dallas, so stay with us.
Thanks, Dave. Well, Victor, you started the season out strong, and now you find yourself still in the points lead after several events. Your thoughts on the situation?
That thought only is to really thank my crew. You know, Mike Jones, Bill Chapin, Tim Merval, Oscar, Steve Laham. All those guys are really making it happen. You know, I'm riding the same ski, and we're trying to, you know, keep the points lead on one ski, and there's a lot of work that has to be done to that one ski. So they're working night and day, just making sure the thing stays together. And if I don't stay together, then I'm not going to finish the race and stay in the lead.
Well, the win today had to boost your confidence. Jeff did not break, and you beat him fair and square.
Yeah, that was a really
really good for my head, you know, to keep my state of mind focused. The first few, Jeff broke down a couple times.
West Coast Performance, Texas Nationals. Last year's World Finals.
There was no shortage of dramatics from Victor. You can bet his heart rate was up for the start of Pro Mod 1.
As the race got underway, it was all Jeff Jacobs. Now, winning here in Chicago on Lake Michigan, it favors those with throttle control and those who make the least amount of mistakes. For Jeff Jacobs, he had the right combination of speed and daring.
I was just basically pacing myself. In certain spots, I'd push. In other spots where it was really rough, I would kind of lay back and lay low and let the boat do the work. And all in all, it worked out perfect.
It was perfect for Jeff Jacobs winning Pro Mod number 1, but for Victor Sheldon, boat number 2, it was a battle with Harry Gocher on boat number 4 for the second spot. Harry looked strong on his 750, but Victor's experience on the 750 hull powered him into a second-place finish.
When you combine Victor's win in slalom with his second race won, he's still gaining ground on Jeff, who finished third in slalom.
With that, we go to Pro Modified race number 2 with Jeff and Victor squaring off side by side, as well as a host of others. Stay with us. When we return, well, at the start of the race, you don't want to miss this. Midwest Nationals here at Illinois Beach State Park, Lake Michigan, Chicago, Illinois. David Stanfield, Larry Rippenkroger on the line. Pro Modified race number 2. And Larry, who's looking good?
Well, Jacob certainly looked great in that first race. If he can find that same rhythm, he's going to be the one to watch, but you can't leave out Victor Sheldon. Harry Gocher also looked real good in the first round.
Pole position on the inside, boat number 1, Jeff Jacobs. To his right, Victor Sheldon, boat number 2. Then there's boat number 58, Todd Ross out of Australia. Harry Gocher, boat number 4, mid-pack. Another great start for Jeff Jacobs.
This guy is absolutely incredible. Look at him, he's hooked up. Everybody else is bouncing except for Jeff. Oh, Jeff goes down.
Jeff bobbles, makes a mistake, and Harry Gocher, boat number 4, takes over the lead.
This is absolutely incredible. Gocher on that 750, very little experience on that machine, yet he's out in front.
A quick recovery by Jeff Jacobs. He is in second spot right now. Victor Sheldon trying to hold on to third, and it looks like D.L. Wood in fourth.
Victor with a bobble coming into that turn. D.L. Wood almost got around him, but out in front, Harry Gocher off with the goggles. He's going to want to see where he's going.
Harry Gocher currently third overall on the tour. In Pro Modified race number 1, he finished in 4th. Green flag out, and Jeff Jacobs is in the hunt.
Jeff Jacobs on the attack. Oh, Gocher almost missed that buoy. This is a difficult section of the course. Now they're going to go back out against the chop.
Looking at the start one more time, Jeff Jacobs hooks up, and he really pre-jumps the chop.
The big difference here, look how little Jeff Jacobs is bouncing compared to everybody else. He's got the pump down in the water, making that horsepower work for him. This is his secret to the whole shot's his success. But here he has a problem. I don't know what happens. He catches an edge and he goes down. Victor Sheldon is directly behind him. He has to swerve to miss him, but Gocher on the outside with all kinds of momentum, he just sweeps by for the lead.
Our leader, boat number 4, Harry Gocher, 22 years old. Last year, ranked 4th. Thus, boat number 4 out of Las Vegas, Nevada, the 6th year pro on a brand new machine. Lake Michigan is boiling. Look at the chop, and Jeff Jacobs goes down.
Jacobs high side. Oh, look at Sheldon. He's going to go by.
Victor Sheldon, boat number 2 in second spot. Jeff Jacobs, boat number 1, back to third after getting the whole shot, essentially.
Jeff uses a completely different machine in Pro Modified number 1, and that one has worked real well for him. He's won 4 out of 5 events on that one, but here in Pro Modified number 2, it's a different machine, and I don't think it suits him very well. He seems to be struggling with it.
Well, our 5-time national champion will not defend his title this year with a string of third-place finishes.
Jeff is normally so effortless in his style, but with this machine, he just seems to have to work a lot harder than usual. I really don't know why they don't stick with the same machine for both races.
Well, the pros have temporarily sorted things out here in Pro Modified race number 2. And Harry Gocher is in the lead, followed by Victor Sheldon, Jeff Jacobs, D.L. Wood, and Todd Ross. Great action in the men's pro race here, similar to what we saw in the women's pro class earlier today. The women's competition in the closed course featured some of the tour's most exciting racing thus far, though Christy Carlson kept her undefeated streak alive and easily took the win in the first of the day's 2 motos. The second moto was a different story. Osaka, Japan's Komiko Matsuguchi, currently residing in Torrance, California, and ranked number 2 on the tour at the moment, has been Christy's closest rival this year. In moto number 2, she exploded off the line and took the hole shot, followed by Florida's Tammy Sarrazin, with Christy in third. As Matsuguchi attempted to increase her lead and Sarrazin fought to keep up, Christy began what would become one of her most determined battles. Lap number 3 saw her take out Tammy Sarrazin to jump into second place. And then the real fight began. Christy made her first run at Matsuguchi on lap number 5. Kamiko would have none of that. Lap number 6, again, Christy went after the gutsy Japanese champion. Again, Kamiko would slam the door, not once, but twice. Christy's skill, determination, and fast boats were being tested as never before.
Beginning of the race, I didn't hook up too good off the line, and I got hole-shotted by Kamiko and one other girl, so that put me third in the first turn, and the rest of the race was just picking them off one at a time. I was just trying to focus on hooking up. That was the hardest thing. It was a rough race out there, and really aggressive. The girls were riding hard and strong, and finally got her in the 7th lap. It was a grueling race.
Grueling and punishing, but ultimately successful for current tour leader Christy Carlson, who took the victory, kept her winning streak unbroken, maintained her lead for the 92 season, and gained new respect for her up-and-coming opponents. Capacity crowd here at Illinois Beach State Park, Lake Michigan, Valvoline Midwest Nationals Pro Modified race number 2 in progress. Harry Gocher, boat number 4, is in the lead, followed by Victor Sheldon, Jeff Jacobs, D.L. Wood, and Dan Fitzgerald.
You got to believe this is a real confidence booster for Harry. He brought this machine out for the first time last week, the second weekend out. Now he finds himself leading Pro Mod number 2.
Now Victor Sheldon and Harry Gocher on the 750 machines. On the 550 machine in this rough waters, Jeff Jacobs.
Jacobs struggling there. Look at the difference between him and Gocher. Gocher's really flowing with this machine much better than Jacobs struggling with his.
White flag flying, 1 lap to go for Harry Gocher. His best result this year, 2 fourth-place finishes in the Pro Modified class. His last Pro Modified win came 2 years ago in Texas, and this looks like it'll be Harry's greatest Pro Mod victory.
Victor Sheldon has not been pushing him up until this lap, but now it looks like Victor has turned up the steam a bit.
Victor Sheldon, boat number 2 down the back straight. He's on the 750 like Harry Gocher. There's Harry Gocher, boat number 4, approaching slower traffic. Harry just about over a buoy. In fact, he's got to circle back. And Victor Sheldon snuck right by him.
Harry Gocher had this thing in the back, and he just handed it to Victor Sheldon.
Victor Sheldon, boat number 2, is now in the lead. Harry Gocher misses the buoy. He's got to circle back. Harry's still in second spot at this point. Checker flag coming out for Victor Sheldon.
We saw Victor looking back just a moment ago. I think he wasn't even sure if it was Harry that he passed.
Take a look at Victor Sheldon. There's Harry Gocher, comes across in second.
And look at Victor. He points at Harry going, "What are you doing there?" I think I was right. He didn't know it was Harry that he had passed.
Well, if you like surprise endings, this was one. Victor Sheldon comes in first, followed by Harry Gocher, Jeff Jacobs, D.L. Wood, and Dan Fitzgerald. In race number 2, Victor Sheldon, he is with Larry Rippencroft
to make the pass on him. But then I was like, started riding really good, and I started feeling good, and I was like, man, I might as well go for it. No one was really on my butt, so I didn't have nothing to lose there. And so I was like, man, this last lap, I'm going to pour it on. You know, what the heck? I'm just going to go for it. And then Harry made a mistake, and I was like, you know, it's really bad for him. I feel bad for him, but, you know, I'm happy.
Well, congratulations once again, Victor.
Thank you. Thank you. Right on. Woo!
For Victor Sheldon, win number 5 on the season. He maintains his first overall in the pro class. Harry Gocher, a great ride for X2 class. The modified final consisted of 2 motos, the point totals of a rider's 2 finishes determining his overall finish for the day. In moto number 1, current X2 leader Art Chambers took the checkered flag with Tim Judge and Mike Jacobs finishing 2nd and 3rd respectively. Current X2 world champion Matt Alligood broke down in the race and had to be towed off the course. Then in moto number 2, the choppy water conditions at the start played a part in hampering Art Chambers, boat number 4, from taking the hole shot. He took a good bouncing, which allowed Matt Alligood, boat number 1X, to grab the lead. His mechanical problems from moto number 1 were obviously remedied. Running in second at the time, Jim Loophole then took a spill. Tim Judge took over. followed by Art Chambers, and that's how they ended up. Tim Judge winning overall by virtue of his 2 second-place finishes. Freestyle competitors are judged on difficulty, precision, and variety. A perfect score is 50 points, and our 7 judges had their work cut out for them in this round of competition, as did our competitors, due to 2 situations unique to this stop. Choppy water conditions and an ominous sandbar just offshore and beneath the surface of the water. My good friend Larry Rippenkroger, the first competitor to contend with this obstacle.
Well, Dave, when I made my turn to go out across the sandbar, it wasn't quite as deep as what I had hoped for. Rock inside the pump into my freestyle routine, probably the quickest one of my career.
Hopefully, Larry, you'll have better luck at the next event. Placing 5th in today's event was the Japanese national champion Minoru Kanamori.
Kanamori also suffered his share of problems as well. He spent most of his time out in the choppy water. It's very difficult out in these conditions to pull off any semblance of a good maneuver, but he had a pretty decent routine.
Kanamori with the highest placing thus far on the tour for him, a 43.9 score, 5th place finish. Then we saw Chris Williams, who finished 2nd in Dallas, received a 45.6 and a 4th place finish here.
Fairly strong routine by Chris and a well-controlled routine. You see there, he went into a submarine with just enough to go under the surface, but not quite deep enough to hit bottom. There's another submarine by powering it in. You know, I think one of the things that works against Chris maybe is that he makes so many difficult maneuvers look so easy, and I think scoring-wise, that probably works against him.
Highlighted in yellow, the high and low scores they've been throwing out, a 45.6 for Chris Williams. In 3rd place today, Hollywood Scott Watkins, who had problems with the choppy water, but performed well nevertheless.
You see Scott there, he went in a little bit deeper than Chris did on the submarine and came up one-handed. Difficult move. Here's a barefoot move right along the front of the beach in between that sandbar we were talking about earlier. Scott had a few bobbles, but otherwise he got in a lot of tricks.
46.4, 3rd place finish. Another victim of today's conditions was current tour leader Jeff Kantz, who not only dealt with the choppy water and the sandbar, but the shore as well.
This is absolutely brutal. Jeff tries to flip over the front, up onto the beach, and gets slammed hard down onto the beach. Well, you can see now, Dave, why they call him kamikaze. Amazingly, though, Jeff regained his composure, went right back out, and completed his routine.
Jeff Kantz, always giving it 100%. He's really fun to watch.
No doubt about it. Jeff's a crowd pleaser. Jeff did pull off some very difficult maneuvers out in the choppy water. You got to give him a lot of credit.
Jeff Kantz came away with a score of 47.2 and a 2nd place finish. Now, despite that mishap on shore, he had a great routine, all things considered. But today's winner was able to face adversity and still keep it together. Lloyd Burlew, winner last week in Dallas, made it 2 in a row.
Lloyd had a good draw for starting position. He got to see the other competitors, and he knew exactly what he had to do to win this thing. And one of the things he did was he spent a lot of his routine in the trough there in front between the sandbar and the beach. One mistake and it would have been all over. It was a big risk, but today it paid off.
It did. It was a 50-50 chance. That trench is real small right there, and I took a chance, and either I was going to be a hero or go down hard, and obviously it came out real good for me.
Congratulations to Lloyd Burlew, now 3rd overall in the standings. Jeff Kantz breaks a tie with Scott Watkins, who is now only 2 points behind.
Even the most perfect bodies in the world don't just happen. They're the result of hard work and careful planning. Because even the most perfect bodies are subject to stress, fatigue, debilitation, and overexertion. So every body in the world needs a little help now and then, even the healthy and the young. A comprehensive approach to physical care is important for every body that moves. A public service health message from the American Physical Therapy Association.
Make a note for ESPN's midday workout. First, Body by Jake at 11. Then, Getting Fit with Denise Austin. Bodies in Motion keeps you moving, and body shaping makes you look great. Midday workout on ESPN.
Every Sunday on ESPN International, Major League Baseball is in your face. All season long, we'll cover the bases with all the excitement that Major League Baseball has to offer. It's in your face. Sunday Night Baseball on ESPN International.
ESPN International, the global sports network.
Welcome back to the IGSBA Bud Jet Sports Tour, the Valvoline Midwest Nationals, Lake Michigan. Undefeated this year in all classes, all competitions is Christy Carlson. She has had a fantastic year. She is standing by right now with Larry Rippenkroger.
Thanks, Dave. Well, Christy, it was one of the best rides I think I've ever seen you put in. You're well on your way to another championship again this year. This has been going on for a long time. What is it about Christy Carlson that makes her a champion?
Well, there's many variables involved in winning a championship, so I certainly can't take the full credit. I have to thank my sponsors, Butch's and Bill Chapin, my trainer, who goes with me to all the races in Oakley. All these sponsors, they back me 100%. They financially put me out on the road and also give me a lot of encouragement. My family, and most of all, my riding ability out there is a result of diligence. And the Bible says the hand of the diligent will prosper. It also says to press to the mark and run the race as if to win the prize. And that doesn't just go for a jet ski racer, that goes for anybody, whether you're an accountant or a mother at home, to be the best that you can be at whatever you do. And so this is a direct blessing from trying to be obedient to God.
Well, you're having a great year. Congratulations once again on a great ride today.
Thank you, I had a good time.
David?
Thank you, Larry. Christy Carlson, a phenomenal career, three-time world champion, three-time national champion. She could wrap up her 4th national title well before the end of the season. On behalf of Larry Rippenkroger, I'm David Stanfield. So long from the Valvoline Midwest Nationals in Chicago, Illinois.
This is ESPN International, the global sports network.
This is ESPN International.
Welcome back to Lake Opeka for the final round of the ski boarding competition. Phase 2, the freestyles or the aerials. As Corey Picos gets set, let's take a look at the rules.
In the skiboard freestyle pass, the riders get 2 25-second passes in which they can complete a maximum of 5 aerial maneuvers. Each trick has a predetermined point value, and this is good for 50% of their overall score.
The former world trick champion trying to apply some of his trick skiing ability to a ski board.
Whoa, and he starts out with a nice 540 and then cuts it sharply back into the wake and a body over. Definitely a trick ski maneuver.
Showing very good composure throughout this, great control. Notice how well he keeps a handle to his body.
A couple of nice rolls, both a front side and a backside roll.
Haven't seen that type of technique from Corey Picos.
He nails the body over, and I think he looks pretty excited about nailing that body over. Good run for Corey.
Much greater control over the flips for Corey Picos. Now he comes back. The second pass starts with another body over.
Corey is applying a lot of his trick skiing tricks to ski boarding, but I think if he's going to come out victorious, he's going to have to throw some air railies and some flips, like the Scud. There's a back to front.
The one thing he is demonstrating is a good ability to get height and timing off the peak of the wake.
Oh, and he nailed a flip. Couple more second flip, and a revert. He nailed it. He landed revert.
Ends with the most spectacular trick we have seen yet from Corey Picos. Coming in here, looking at the wake, timing it, bending his knees, extending off the top, landing the revert. He's down in the dock with Tony Finn.
Great run. Looks like you added a couple new tricks.
Yeah, I added 3 new tricks. I've been working hard, trying to bring up the level of my skiing. But with the new tricks there, standing it up back and forth, I'm really happy.
Eric Perez, his background is surfing. Very different style from Corey Picos.
He started off with a nice 360 and a great backside roll. Now a front side roll. Eric Perez looking very solid. Hits that wake hard
and a nice roll, and he lands revert. Just has some wonderful transitions from maneuver to maneuver. And ended up with the 180. He might have a little bit of time left. Bam! He does a helicopter with the flip. A blender. Great maneuver for Air Perez. Perez demonstrating wonderful edge control. His second shot at it. Can he take the Scud? There goes a backside 180. We're going to have to see some hot ski boarding if he's going to beat the Scud. Another 180. Nice transition maneuver. Goes into a hand pass. Nice helicopter for Air Perez with a little grab in there. Oh, and a roll to revert, no problem for Air Perez. A very solid looking performance. He turns the board back forward. A layout. Oh, he doesn't land it. He could not complete the rotation here. Unfortunate fall for Perez because he had it going, some dynamite maneuvers up to the end where it looks like he lost his footing. Right in midair, foot slides out, and maybe victory slides away. You put a new trick in your run, the inside roll?
Yeah, inside-outside roll from the top of the wake to the outside. It felt pretty good.
What happened on that layout? Looks like your foot just came right out of the board.
Yeah, I got to tighten my little heel loop a little bit better. It was exciting. It was kind of extra maneuver that I threw in, so hopefully the first five will be high enough to contend.
Talk about exciting. Here's Darren Shapiro, the man who gets ballistic, vertical, explosive, dynamic. He is everything. The crowd just goes nuts when this guy hits the wake. Oh, and I'm going nuts too. An unbelievable backside air railie. Look at how much pressure he puts on that boat. A nice flip with the rail grab. Oh, a front somersault. And an air front, a flip without a wake. The Scud, a fantastic first pass. No hesitations from the Scud. All he does is spring and tuck. Well, I love it how he grabs the board on that first trick and then a beautiful front somersault there. Seemingly always in control. Air railie, huge air railie for the Scud. The Scud, incredible as always. Whoa, a backside flip. He's riding backwards now, turning back into the wake. A frontside front flip for the Scud. And a roll to revert. Flawless technique by the Scud scores him 14,700 points. Watch this. Explosive off the wake, like a little gymnast in the air. The Scud sails to victory. Tony's down in the dock with the winner. Darren, you just won again. Unbelievable run.
Hey, thanks a lot. It was a little rolly, but I just went for it.
You went from a rookie on your first event to 4 consecutive victories. You must feel fantastic.
I'm pumped. It's great.
What can you do from here?
Win some more. Whew. Yeah.
Darren Shapiro likes to taste of victory. 4 in a row. Eric Perez second, Pico's third, Reinhardt is fourth, and Russell Gay comes in fifth. Well, we've come to the end of the fourth and final stop of Bud Knee and ski boarding with everybody right on the edge and skiing well. Tony, I guess everyone's getting used to the national exposure on ESPN. Well, coming from the underground to the foreground for some of these guys put a lot of pressure on them, but we really did see some outstanding performances. And once again, the Scud, Darren Shapiro, seemed to blast everyone into oblivion. The Scud is on a completely different planet. 4 consecutive victories, flips, air railies, you name it, the Scud's got it. Well, we thank all of you for joining us for the first year of Bud Knee and ski boarding. We hope we've kept you a little dizzy. We'll bring you more blenders and rolls to revert, and of course, the air railie next year. For Tony Finn, I'm Wayne Grimditch. So long.
Last week in Huntington, West Virginia, during Stop 7 of the Bud Jet Sports Tour, 5-time and defending national champion Jeff Jacobs swept the day, but it wasn't easy. The key to success was a new boat for his Pro Mod Race number 2 efforts. The change was a success, enabling Jeff to fight his way past Chris McCluggage and world champion Chris Fischetti to take the win with an incredible outside pass. Jeff's victories in both pro-modified races are just what he needs to stay in the hunt for a 6th straight national championship title. But tour leader Victor Sheldon hasn't given up the fight. Despite a few serious mistakes, Victor managed to hold on for 2 fourth-place finishes. Far from ideal, but far from disastrous as well. When the water settled on the Ohio, Jeff had gained 14 points on Victor. With 3 events to go, Victor clings to a 42-point lead. With that, the Bud Jet Sports Tour moves to Atlanta, Georgia for the Valio Southern Nationals. For the defending Tour champion, Jeff Jacobs, second place might as well be last.
I got to win everything and got to hope that Victor, I mean, I don't want to see Victor break anything, but he's got to have some bad luck. And last weekend was a confidence booster for me because I ran a great race, and that's what it took. And hopefully I can do what I did last weekend throughout the rest of the 3 races, and that's what I'm hoping for today, next weekend, and the weekend after that. I want to finish the year strong so I can go in Havasu with a lot of confidence, knowing that I'm the fastest rider out there.
Fastest rider out there, and wishing me bad luck to Victor, them's his fighting words. It's Jet Sports Racing from Atlanta, the Valio Southern Nationals. Welcome to the IGSBA Bud Jet Sports Tour. Today we are enjoying Southern hospitality just outside of Atlanta, Georgia. The event, round number 8 on the tour, the Valio Southern Nationals. David Stanfield with Larry Ripper-Grover, 2-time world champion. Larry, a brand new site for the IGSBA, and it is beautiful.
It is indeed a beautiful location. The heat and humidity, though, playing a big factor this weekend, this southern weather. It's really taken its toll. But the racing here has been the best I've ever seen. Every single point is becoming a very precious commodity, and it's showing in the racing.
The pro class, with qualifying early this morning, everybody's going after it, and it was a tough go between Jason Schultz and Jeff Jacobs.
No doubt about it. Jeff knows that he has to win every single event from here on out if he's going to pull off a national championship this year. But the other riders, they want to win just as bad. Jason Schultz, a rookie in the pro class this year, had an incredible ride. He held Jeff off lap after lap. Finally, Jeff got his rhythm. He got by Jason and went on to win.
Well, it wasn't easy for Jeff Jacobs in Pro Modified number 1 as well. He really had to work at it.
4 riders were battling it out side by side. Then fatigue started to set in. About midway through the race, Victor Sheldon found his second win. He came flying in, slammed into Jeff, and that's what it took to get Jeff into gear.
Yeah, everybody's struggling out there because the water's so rough. Victor was probably struggling, but he got a second win, and he gave me a nudge, and that got me going. That got my second win, and that made me put me on Chris. And I wanted to win, and that's what it took.
Jeff Jacobs wins Pro Modified race number 1, his 3rd in a row. In fact, he has won 8 this season. He is on a collision course with Victor Sheldon, who placed 4th.
Yeah, in fact, if they continue at that rate, Jeff winning, Victor finishing 4th, they're going to be virtually tied by the time we get to the final event of the season.
Now, the great racing is because of 2 factors, late in the season and a great course.
Glenn Bothwell did a great job with the course design this weekend. The smooth water conditions make for a fantastic layout. From a cove, the riders are going to start going down a long start straightaway into a sweeping left-hand turn, then a sharp right-hand turn, and then they go into a hard 180 hairpin turn out to an even sharper right-hand turn, a semi-180 hairpin turn, slight right-hand jog down the front straightaway, then another hard 180 switchback area. This area here in particular lends itself very well for passing. From there, we go into a left-hand sweeper, and then into a right-hand sweeper, and then into a sharp 180 hairpin turn down that long back straightaway. And with the smooth water conditions that we have this weekend, I think we're going to see some of the fastest radar readings we've seen all year long. For the X2s, I think a reading into the mid to upper 30s is going to be good, and for the stand-up models to the mid to upper 40s. From there, we go back through the left-hand side of the course, cross the finish line to complete lap number 1, and continue on for a total of 12 laps.
Everyone likes this course, especially Jeff Jacobs, and Jeff Jacobs is the man to beat.
I think Jeff's the favorite today. Dave, he took your advice from last week. He stuck with his 550. He's real comfortable with the handling of this machine, and he's riding like the old Jeff Jacobs. He is flat-out attacking the race course today.
A total of 8 wins thus far this season. Then there's Victor Sheldon.
Well, Victor's been having some problems with his starts. I don't know what it is, but if he can get off the line clean, I think that'll be the deciding factor that'll make the difference for Victor.
Well, Victor Sheldon has pole position right now. Joe Lazay, the starter, says fire him up. And Stone Mountain Lake comes alive with the roar, the fastest jet sports racers in the world. Victor Sheldon with pole, followed by Fischetti, McCluggage, Jacobs, and Gocher.
The 2 card is up. The adrenaline is flowing. It'll go to 1. There can be no more 2-minute holds. When it goes sideways, the rubber band can snap at any point.
And they are off. And with a tough start is Victor Sheldon out in front. It looks like Chris Fischetti. Fischetti on the 750 has the whole shot on the outside. It's Jeff Jacobs. Look at Jacobs go.
Look at Jacobs. He is riding so aggressive. He is just attacking this race course.
Jeff Jacobs now back to the inside straight he comes. Here the tide turns. Jacobs has smooth water and plenty of speed.
On this first lap is where Jeff is going to try and stretch it out. He's got ideal conditions ahead of him. All the other riders behind him have to battle his whitewater.
In second at this point is Chris Fischetti. Fischetti, though, looked like he had the whole shot until that second outside buoy.
I think Chris was totally surprised with Jeff. Very aggressive move on the outside. That is very risky, but Jeff let it all hang out. It was a risk that he felt like he had to take at this stage in the season, and boy, did he make it work.
Jeff Jacobs, take a look at his speed down the back straightaway. Radar gun is on him. A top speed of 50.1 miles per hour.
That is the fastest reading we've had all year long. Jeff Jacobs is on the gas today.
Jeff Jacobs leads Chris Fischetti, Victor Sheldon, Chris McCluggage, and Harry Gocher. The Valio Southern Nationals Pro Modified race number 2 continues. Stay with us. Modified races, although he did lose out to Victor Sheldon in the slalom.
That was unusual. Jeff can usually count on a slalom win, but Victor is looking real good in the slalom event as the season progresses. In fact, right now, Victor's looking real good on the race course. This is the battle for second. Fischetti in second right now, and Victor is all over him.
Tour leader Victor Sheldon is really trying to put the reins on himself. He wants to finish every race. He has one goal in mind.
Definitely a national championship. You know, I want to win still, but you know, I got to be really smart with it to be able to win the national championship. There's still 3 more races, and a lot can happen in 3 races. So I just got to really use my head, concentrate, and just keep driving.
Victor Sheldon is in 3rd position at this point.
And Fischetti goes down. Look at Sheldon. He goes by him, Dave. There's a good example right there. Victor has used his head. He's followed Chris. He saw that Chris was feeling the heat and the humidity. He was getting fatigued, so he waited him out and went by him.
Victor Sheldon has moved into 2nd. The leader is Jeff Jacobs. Now back to 3rd is Chris Fischetti, the world champion.
Fischetti has been improving every weekend, but he's been battling a virus, and that has taken his toll. Now we're looking at Victor Sheldon down that back straightaway. Radar gun on him.
The water's a little rougher. 47.6 miles per hour.
That's still impressive this late in the race, as choppy as it is, but here we are. Jeff Jacobs out in front. He has a 20-second lead, most of that gained in the first few laps, and he continues every lap adding to it.
Jeff Jacobs dominating Pro Modified race number 2. Right now we have a moment. Let's take a look back at some great racing in the women's and X2 classes held earlier. 2 motos, both victories for Christy Carlson. Sound familiar? In moto number 1, it was all Christy with no surprises. In moto number 2, another now familiar battle, Kamiko Matsuguchi getting the whole shot with Christy in hot pursuit. For 5 laps, they sliced and diced, with Christy eventually slipping by, winning the day overall, followed by Tammy Sayers and Dawn Wood and Kamiko Matsuguchi. So after 8 events, Christy Carlson holds a virtually insurmountable lead overall, with a 4th national championship beckoning.
The X2 modified competition was similar in that Tim Judge swept the day by winning both motos. As the season winds down, Tim's strategy is practical.
I want to win as much as I can win, but I want to stay consistent. If I'm not winning, I got to at least stay somewhere in a consistent range where I'm not looking too far behind, and I want to gain the points as many as I can get.
Judge wins the mod, but Chambers wins the X2 day overall and stays 2 points ahead as we head to Florida. Back to the action, Pro Modified race number 2. Our leader, boat number 1, the defending national champion, Jeff Jacobs. He leads Victor Sheldon, Chris McCluggage, Chris Fischetti, and Harry Gocher.
It is late in the season, but Jacobs has found the speed now.
Good effort for Chris McCluggage, the white boat 9X, the 18-year-old out of Naples, Florida, the 3rd-year pro, moving into 3rd over Chris Fischetti. And Harry Gocher, a great effort for Harry, good consistent racing all season long. He is 3rd overall on the tour.
Harry continues to get the handling of the 750 figured out. He is becoming a serious threat.
Good showing in Pro Modified race number 1, a 3rd place for Harry. Right now he's going to pick up 5th place points, but picking up 1st place points, it looks like it's going to go to Jeff Jacobs. He has been our defending national champion since 1987. He's going to celebrate a birthday in a couple of days. He is backed up against the wall. He needs to win every race, and he's doing that.
He is looking good. He's got it figured out. He's back on a machine that he's very comfortable with. And he is looking good, Dave. Look at that. No fatigue at all.
Jeff Jacobs
The sixth-year pro sweeps the weekend in closed course racing. Victor Sheldon, though, picks up very valuable second-place points.
Victor looks like he settled down in the second race. He settled for a second place, which is sufficient to maintain a decent point spread on Jeff Jacobs.
And coming in for third place, boat number 9X, Chris the Kid McCluggage. But the day belongs to Jeff Jacobs, winning both pro-modified races. We'll speak with our champion right after this.
There's a name that says intensity. There's a name that says competitiveness. There's a name that says youthful passion. There's a name that says winning is everything. There's a name that says it all. It's our name, the Women's Tennis Association.
Whether it's your first PGA win, your first Cadillac Senior PGA Tour trophy, or another LPGA title for the record books, the feeling is still the same. And ESPN International brings you that winning feeling all season long. From top LPGA and PGA Tour golfers to that ever-growing Cadillac Senior PGA Tour, golf's winning feeling, only on ESPN International.
All this and more on Body Shaping.
Every Sunday on ESPN International, Major League Baseball is in your face. All season long, we'll cover the bases with all the excitement that Major League Baseball has to offer. It's in your face. Sunday Night Baseball on ESPN International.
This is where America gets together. Every weekend throughout America, there is great NASCAR racing.
I wouldn't be anywhere else.
Welcome back to the Valley of Southern National, Stone Mountain Park, Georgia. David Stanfield with Larry Ripper-Kroger and Jeff Jacobs. Believe it or not, he took my advice, and on the 550, he won both pro-modified races. He is standing by with Larry.
Well, Dave, Jeff followed your advice. He stuck with the 550, and Jeff, it really worked out well.
Yeah, luckily I paid attention to what Dave had to say, and it paid off this weekend.
Well, you look like the old Jeff Jacobs out there today. I mean, you were really flying. What changes did you make coming in this weekend?
Not many. I think last weekend, I'm just coming off of last weekend's high. I rode, I think, the best race of my career, if not career, but definitely of the season last weekend. And that was a definite confidence booster for myself and for my team. And, you know, we came out here this weekend, we want to do basically the same thing. You know, if we get a bad start, you know, come from behind and let's just take the cup and go home.
Great job today. Congratulations.
Thanks a lot, Larry.
David, back to you.
Let's take a look at the overall standings in the pro class. Today we've had 2 pro-modified races and a slalom competition. We broke the tie for 4th place between Chris Fischetti and Chris McCluggage. Fischetti into 4th. Victor Sheldon with 388 points is our leader. The freestyle competition was held earlier today in front of an enthusiastic crowd. And Larry, how about those conditions?
Well, Dave, it doesn't get any better than this. The water was smooth and deep, and all in all made for some great performances.
In recent weeks, the standings have seesawed back and forth in all positions but one. Jeff Kanson's led since the first event, but Lloyd Berlew is challenging. The judges would get a workout today. The great water conditions would mean great routines from all the competitors. But Lloyd Berlew's challenge to Jeff Kant's tour lead would fall short today. Lloyd would do no better than 3rd place.
Well, we all have on days or off days. Today was Lloyd's off day. It wasn't really a bad routine, just a few bobbles here and there. Wasn't as crisp and clean as what Lloyd normally puts on.
Lloyd's score of 47.0 doesn't get him a victory, but it also doesn't hurt his overall 2nd place standings. In 2nd place today, my colleague Larry Ripper-Kroger, a 2-time world champion and a 2-time freestyle world champion. Larry, you love the conditions.
Oh, absolutely. It doesn't get any better than this, Dave.
We had everything for perfect freestyle conditions except for waves, but you still got some air.
Yeah, the conditions here, very deep water, made for some great submarines. You didn't have to worry about hitting bottom. That really boosted the confidence in everybody, and it certainly brought out the best in me. I had one of my better routines.
A great move here, a one-legged tail spin, getting some points there. Larry Ripperkoger ends up with 47.7, a second place finish.
Ahí va Alfonso, listo para la carrera. En este minuto está listo para partir.
González, número 5, de Antonio Mendicoa, y la última pasada de la número 10 de José Miguel Faxial, y la número 11 es de Francisco Javier González. Pasa la 3 y la 2, pasa Francisco Agún y Nicolás Amenábar. Y ahora en este preciso instante, la número 10 es de el piloto José última vuelta para el término de su actuación. Ahí viene el puntero, viene la máquina número 6 de José Miguel Yáñez. Va a pasar en este instante el representante del José Cross. Aquí va José Miguel Yáñez, pasó. Ahora la máquina número 7 de Pablo Herrera. Después de Pablo Herrera está pasando la 99. Ahí va la 99 de Alfonso Fuenzalida. Y el cuarto lugar para el número 14.
Corre, Rodrigo.
Se quedaron dos. El número 3 se quedó Francisco Agún. Y hay también dos máquinas más. Sí, ahí está tratando de salir. Va a venir, señoras y señores, el puntero. Va a venir el puntero. Se fue Francisco Agún. Se quedó Francisco Agún. Ya no fue. Vamos a ver. Va a venir el puntero. Va a venir el puntero nuevamente, el número 6. Es José Miguel Yáñez, el que está en este instante tratando de pasar frente a la meta. Ahí va el número 6. Pasa José Miguel Yáñez en el primer lugar. El número 10 en el segundo lugar. Miguel Paxiar, la segunda posición. Después pasó el número 11. El número 11, Francisco Javier González. El número 2, Nicolás Amenábar. El número 99, Alfonso Fuenzalida. Pasa el número 5, Antonio Mendicoa. Y el número 3 posición fue para el número 11, Francisco Javier González. Luego el número 3. El número 6 está penalizado con 2 puntos por haber partido adelantado. Así comunica el director de la prueba, el número 6 está penalizado con 2 puntos. Bandera blanca para el puntero.
¿Dónde está Alfonso?
Entra a la última vuelta, señoras y señores, el puntero. Ahí viene el número 6. Está penalizado con 2 puntos. Ahora viene, señoras y señores, en el segundo lugar, el número 10 y el número 11 en el 3 de Alfonso Fuenzalida. Ahí va muy despacio el número 3 de Francisco Agún. Y el número 7 también pasa Pablo Herrera. La quinta posición para el 99 de Alfonso Fuenzalida. Luego tenemos al número 7. Al número 7. sector. Tenemos al puntero. El puntero en este instante en la boya que está cerca. 39 Alfonso Fuenzalida. Y aquí viene, señoras y señores, la máquina número 6, me parece que es la que se retiró. Y ahí pasa la 16 de Carlos Vargas. La número 7 de Pablo Herrera. Ahí va la 11 de Francisco Javier González. Pasa también la número 3 de Francisco Ajón. Es la lucha por el...
Categoría 550 centímetros cúbicos, 30 segundos para su largada. Suerte, señores competidores de la categoría 550 centímetros cúbicos en esta primera fecha del Campeonato Nacional Jet Ski Motos de Agua. El patrocinio de la Federación de Turismo de Chile.
Cuidado que nos van a volar gato porque está la televisión.
Se gira hacia la izquierda. Y las amarillas hacia la derecha. Esta primera manga consta de 5 vueltas al circuito. Campeonato Nacional de Jet Ski. Motos de Agua.
¿Qué? ¿Tomaste conmigo? ¿Qué?
El portero es Francisco González, no como el...
No, aquí viene.
Tiempo fallado por Pablo Herrera, MX.
¡Ah, chuta! No. ¡Ay, qué idiota! No, no, ¿qué es eso? ¡Ah!
Atención, señores pilotos. Ha sido anulada esta primera largada.
¡Ay, entrada!
Partida para la categoría 550 centímetros cúbicos. Jet Ski. Suerte, señores. Centímetros cúbicos, la primera manga, 5 vueltas al circuito. El estrecho duelo entre los pilotos de esta categoría, 550 centímetros cúbicos. Estrecho margen entre el primero, el segundo, tercero y cuarto, quinto. Las mejores máquinas y los deportistas mejor. El piloto Francisco González con su máquina número 11, el lubricante House. Este conduciendo esta primera manga de 5 vueltas para la primera fecha del Campeonato Nacional Jet Ski Sausalito. acortando la tercera vuelta. Acortando distancia José Miguel Yáñez y el piloto número 11, Francisco González, sigue de puntero en esta primera manga de 5 vueltas para el Jet Ski, en la categoría 550 centímetros cúbicos para esta primera fecha del Campeonato Nacional Jet Ski Motos de Agua, temporada 1992. Cuarta vuelta, solamente resta una. Con la máquina número 4. Esta es la primera fecha del Campeonato Nacional Jet Ski, motos de agua, acá en el Club Bucaneros, en Laguna de Coleo. El patrocinio de la Federación de Motociclismo de Chile, el registro de los motores. El 4. Número 11, González. Ya la cuadriculada, avanzamos para los punteros que han completado las 5 vueltas de esta primera manga en la categoría Jet Ski 550 centímetros cúbicos. Centímetros cúbicos, Jet Ski. 6 vueltas para esta categoría, 550 centímetros cúbicos. El Jet Ski en su primera fecha para la temporada 1992. Tenemos el puntero, el piloto con la máquina número 4, con la segunda posición es para Pablo Herrera con la máquina número 7, la tercera posición para Eduardo Herrera con la máquina número 1. Cuarta y quinta posición, la foto de Argentina por 2 pilotos. Están tratando 5 vueltas para que concluya esta categoría 550 centímetros cúbicos Jet Ski en su primera fecha. Ya tenemos para la segunda vuelta, piloto con la máquina número 4, segunda posición, la tercera posición para Alfonso Fuenzalida con la máquina número 9. Cuarta posición para Eduardo Herrera. Restan 4 vueltas para que concluya esta segunda marca de 6 categorías 550 centímetros cúbicos en Jet Ski para la temporada 1992. Ya tenemos al piloto José Miguel Yáñez avanzando su tercera pasada por la meta máquina número 4. Sigue sacando su segunda posición, piloto de la máquina número 7, Pablo Herrera. En tercer lugar, el una cuarta posición para la piloto de la máquina número 4, Alfonso Fuenzalida. Tenemos al piloto con la máquina número 4, José Miguel Yáñez, completando su cuarta por la cabeza. Y el piloto número 7 de MX, Pablo Herrera. La segunda ubicación, la tercera ubicación para Eduardo Herrera, la máquina número 1. Piloto de lubricante Carlos, Francisco González, máquina número 11. Solo restan 2 vueltas para que concluya esta segunda manga para la categoría Jet Ski 550 centímetros cúbicos. De la quinta y penúltima vuelta, José Miguel Yáñez, piloto de la máquina número 4. La segunda posición sigue siendo defendida por Pablo Herrera, con la máquina número 7 de MX. La tercera posición, máquina número 11, lubricante Carlos. José Miguel Yáñez, porque solamente restan pocos metros para decir esta segunda manga. Tiene un ganador, José Miguel Yáñez, 550 centímetros cúbicos. La segunda posición para Pablo Herrera, y la tercera ubicación para Alfonso Fuenzalida. Y la primerísima ubicación, primer lugar de esta primera fecha para el piloto de la máquina número 4, José Miguel Yáñez. Los abrazos y los brazos al cielo con sus respectivos trofeos para decir la primera.
Well, that there, I mean, that's just a proven thing there that you just want to never give up, you know, and keep driving as hard as you can, even if you're making a bunch of mistakes. And you know, that's one of my keys is you know staying tough all the way through the end, and it paid off today, that's for sure. Wow.
Well, I know it was a big surprise to everybody on shore as well as yourself. A cap to a great weekend. I mean, you didn't win everything, but overall points-wise, it wasn't too bad.
Yeah, you know, I won the slalom today, so that was really good. I think we're tied in the slalom thing now, so it comes up to the last weekend in Fort Myers. And then I got a fourth and a second. You know, I was semi-consistent, but my fourth, I didn't want to get that. I think I kind of pushed it a little too hard, and you know, sometimes you got to back off the throttle and you know ease in there, and sometimes you got to take a third. A third would have been much better than a fourth, but you know, it's done and over with. And now you got to go on the next weekend and hopefully learn from all your mistakes that you did this weekend, and you know that's what I'm doing.
Well, the championship's still looking good. Good weekend this weekend. Congratulations.
Thanks a lot. Thanks, Larry.
Well, here's the bottom line for the national championship battle between Jeff Jacobs and Victor Sheldon. Jeff Jacobs needs to win every race. Victor Sheldon needs to finish in the top 3. Both Victor and Jeff are tied in the slalom competition. That'll be decided at the West Coast Performance Florida Nationals from the popular Lanikai Resort, Fort Myers Beach, Florida. That's our next stop. On behalf of Larry Riffenkroger, I'm David Stanfield. So long from the Valley O Southern Nationals and Stone Mountain Park, Georgia.
One is at a very small course, very tight, very difficult to pass on. Now on the start, the riders are going to leave the beach and go into a right-hand sweeper that's right in the middle of the course. From there, they'll go into a left-hand sweeper and then head back out towards the rear of the course with a slight right, a left, and then a hard right, left-hand sweeper down that back straightaway, and it's got a little jag in the back straightaway. It's not really straight. From there, they'll go into a left-hand sweeper, a right-hand turn up over the log jump. They'll make a left down the front straightaway to complete lap number 1, and then back out into that right-hand sweeper to continue on for a total of 12 laps.
1 big right-handed first turn sweeper, 6 left-handed turns, 4 right-handed turns, and 1 log jump. On the line they go, the $35,000 West Coast Performance Nationals Pro Ski Modified race number 2. Good jump off the line by Jason Schultz, and he backs off. Boat number 9, the 2-time Australian champion, Todd Ross.
Todd Ross with good anticipation off the line, and boy, did he do something right. Something hooked up there, and he pulled everybody off the start.
Dan Fitzgerald goes wide, taking a beeline into the next turn. 2nd spot, boat number 4, the Flying Fish, Chris Fischetti. 3rd spot, boat number 12, Dan Fitzgerald.
And Fischetti again, impressive off the line. Didn't haul shot, but a solid 2nd. Puts him right up there towards the top. And consistency is what wins championships, and he's right in the hunt now.
Boat number 9, Todd Ross, 19 years old. The Terror, they call him, out of the Gold Coast, Queensland, Australia, leads this race. Last year, 9th overall in the National Tour. His best finish was a 6th place in just 1 race. Right now, he is leading it.
And Todd Ross, on this first lap, the only thing going through his mind is stretch this thing out, take advantage of the smooth water.
Our top 3 riders, Ross, Fischetti, and Fitzgerald. But listen to this, Jeff Jacobs is in 8th, Victor Sheldon in 11th, and Jason Schultz back in 12th. Big upsets in the making as the West Coast Performance Nationals continue. Stay with us.
It's going to make the points battle this season come down to the wire the way it's looking.
Next event, round number 4.
He attains down the back straightaway are really unbelievable compared to the rest of the competition.
In 2nd spot is Bo Dupriest, but a good battle shaping up for 3rd. It is David Lautenschlager leading Robert Magpock. And back to our leader, what makes John Stevens so fast, Larry?
Well, this is like the Formula 1 class of runabout racing. A lot of modifications allowed. Obviously, a lot of effort has gone into research and development over the course of the winter with John Stevens' boat. We'll talk more about that in a minute, but let's take a look at the start once again and look at what happens. Everybody comes off the line fairly even. In fact, there's one senior rider, Vanilla Ice, I believe it is, that's got a good jump. But Stevens just out-horsepowers everybody, making it look so easy on the start.
Pro Runabout, Modified Racing. Race number 2, top 5. We have John Bo Dupriest. And there is David Lautenschlager making a race out of it. Lautenschlager would love to get 3rd right now. He and his brother Aaron Lautenschlager, 2 very talented racers out of Nebraska.
The trick to these runabouts and getting around the course in a rapid manner is setting up early for the turns. What you're dealing with is a craft that is much heavier than the stand-up models, so there's a lot more anticipation involved in the turns. You got to start your turn early. You don't want to swing wide. Every foot that you're away from the buoy, you have to come back and make up. So the key is to try and set the rider in front of you up wide and then turn in early, get underneath him in the turn.
A look at our leader, John Stevens, boat number 26Y. Here's Robert Magpock, currently in 4th spot, boat number 6. And trying to chase down our 3rd place rider, that is David Lautenschlager out of Lincoln, Nebraska. Just 17 years old, a 2nd-year pro. Last year in the Hot Water Tour, he was runner-up in the pro runabout class.
Yeah, one of the things I noticed, the difference between these crafts is, look at Stevens now in the chop. His ski is not even bouncing. It looks like an effortless ride. Lautenschlager got to lean to the outside on these things to get him a turn. There is a problem right there. Not leaning far enough to the outside to get a good bite. But then you lean to the outside. Oh, he goes off. I was just going to say, you lean to the outside. The G-forces are tremendous, and you catch an edge like that, and boy, you're launched right off the craft.
Lautenschlager gets thrown down, and that was his brother, Aaron Lautenschlager, watching over and making sure nobody was going to hit him. Robert Magpock inherits third spot. And Lautenschlager back on his machine, but he has dropped a couple of places.
We're on the last lap, and Stevens with about a 35-second lead, dominating this class, just like he has done every weekend thus far. He has dominated so much so, in fact, that he's been protested the first 2 weekends. They have thoroughly checked the ski over. It is legal according to the rules, but a lot of carbon fiber in that hole to lighten things up.
A custom hull, great handling for John Stevens. He is way out in front as the checkered flag is going to come out very shortly. The race is for second right now. We have Bo Dupriest and Robert Magpock, second and third. And in fact, Vanilla Ice has moved to fourth. David Lautenschlager back on his ski after that one tumble. He is in fifth spot. It's now or never, and here comes John Stevens, looking for yet another sweep this weekend.
Look at the way that Stevens plows through that chop, effortless.
John Stevens aboard the PJS Kawasaki